Joe Grant gets a little something something. Welcome to the Time Treadmill. I'm Ron, and these are my sweaty thoughts about Doctor Who. One of the things I love about The Curse of Peladon is that writer Brian Hales takes his villains, the Ice Warrior, sets them up to appear to be the villains of this story in the first few episodes, and then turns around and makes them the actual good guys. It's a really nice plot twist and turn of expectations. Allegorically, the story is driven by the tension between conservatism and the desire for things to remain the way they've always been and to hold true to long-standing beliefs and structures and fears, and progressivism and the desire to move forward and gain more understanding and love and compassion. And not surprisingly for this show, it is progressivism that wins the day. But for me, the most interesting thing about how the story deals with that is that the character of Hepesh, the conservative court advisor who is the ultimate villain of the story, is ultimately portrayed in a very compassionate way. In other words, he's not evil, he's not driven by greed or a lust for power or any of those things. He's actually been duped by the other ultimate villain of the story, one of the council members on the Federation who turns traitor. But he's been convinced that if Peladon joins the Galactic Federation, that Peladon will be turned into a slave state, and the people there will be forced to mine their own world for resources to shift off-world. And he sincerely believes this. And so this really is a case of the old adage that the villain needs to be the hero of his own story. And it's very much true here. Hepesh is sincerely doing what he thinks is the right thing. And in fact, in the end, spoilers here, on his deathbed, he even recognizes that perhaps he was wrong. And so again, being mindful that this is a children's television program in the early 1970s, there's some pretty serious philosophical, ethical, moral things going on here, and I really, really enjoy that. There's also kind of a weird little romance between Joe Grant and King Peladon, and truly a moment towards the end where you could have actually seen Joe Grant staying there, staying on Peladon, becoming the queen, and leaving the series. It's a pretty typical way for a female Doctor Who companion to leave the show. And if I was a viewer at the time, I would have sincerely believed that that really might have been happening. Of course it doesn't. Joe Grant sticks around for another full season before the arrival of the greatest companion of all time, but we'll get there in a couple weeks. But again, it's a nice piece of writing leaning into viewer expectations in order to wrong-foot them and go in another direction. Overall, Curse of Peladon is a great story. I love all of the characters. I love the political dynamics of it. And it's so nice to see the Doctor out traveling to other worlds and not being stuck on Earth. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love the Brigadier. I love Mike Yates and Sergeant Benton. But unit story after unit story after unit story does get old pretty quickly, and that's exactly why the series is starting to try and kind of flex its format. And I guess that's about all I have to say about The Curse of Peladon, so on that note, I'm going to call it a day and say, stay home, stay safe, be kind, be patient, and I will see you tomorrow.